Boye Boshishe as IFAKOLADE, OMILADÈ, FATOSIN. And I'm currently live streaming an hour of 11:57, just before 12 o'clock, May the 3rd of 2026. I am coming with a new build as I began this shift within the primordial intelligence conversation on self-governance and body mapping. This conversation is, of course, we're highlighting something that is very familiar, something that we all have heard about, right? It is the Kundalini system. I've decided to start conversations around this because I'm shifting from conversations on external entities, what others are doing, and more so recognizing our bodies, our own governance, our own self, the self. And so this is an important topic to me because, again, I'm moving forward. You know, one thing about it is that I cannot stay content on the behaviors of others. I cannot keep talking about what they is doing. And so, I mean, if I'm going to be talking to myself, why not document it? So I bring you my own understanding of the Kundalini within this primordial intelligence and conversation of self-governance. So tonight, I'm going to talk about something that a lot of people hear about, but they may not really understand. I hope that you guys can hear, and I hope that you enjoy this message today. As a word, again, is on Kundalini. Kundalini. Okay. Now I know the word might sound pretty erotic, right? It sounds like something that you might hear that is foreign. However, this is found within the self. It might sound like something that you might go to an exotic restaurant and be like, I'll take the Kundalini. I'll have a Kundalini, please. Well, just as exotic as it or erotic as it might sound, it is, in a sense. It is definitely something that will allow you to ask the right questions and may even enjoy what you receive when you get the right answers. Kundalini is not something that you find often within religion. In fact, many will try to argue you down and say that anything related to Kundalini and yoga is demonic. But that is far from the truth. Okay? It is not about becoming a follower as you would in other religions. Thank you for joining the chat. Please like and share. Please, let's get the likes up. Please share. I hope that you're able to gain something from this evening, this night, as you are coming in, as you are tuning in. Get comfortable. Trust me, you will enjoy the space. So Kundalini is not about joining someone's religion. It is not about becoming someone's follower. It is not about being scared into anyone's submission. Okay? Kundalini is about self-governance. It is about the intelligence inside of the body, learning how to rise above the lower impulses, the lower reactions, the lower fears, any distractions, the shame, the guilt, the moral policing, and all of the programming that keeps people disconnected from themselves. It is important for us to understand the truth about Kundalini and why we must connect to it, why it is important, and why I call it primordial intelligence. Because primordial intelligence is the original intelligence. Before we were programmed into all of these different things coming into the world, from schools to jobs to our relationships with our parents and siblings, our friends, churches, whatever institution, whatever belief system that it was, the primordial intelligence came before all of that. It was already coded within your DNA. Before society told you about your existence, as you got older, before society told you about your sensuality, about your body, before religion told you about your body and how dirty or unclean you was, why you needed to go get baptized, why do you need to abandon yourself, all of this type of stuff, all of these different things that bring about within society. Primordial intelligence existed before all of this. Before spiritual communities started using these different fear tactics and these titles and initiations, the public judgment to control the people. This is the intelligence that lives beneath all of that, okay? When people talk about Kundalini, they usually describe it as an energy that rises from the base of the spine up until the crown of the head. They talk about the 7 seals, or known as the 7 chakras, or 7 centers of energy. These 7 centers of energy move from the root, through the body, through the heart, through the throat, through the mind, and up into higher consciousness. What I want to make very, very clear here with Sacred Waters Healing Temple, within these conversations of primordial intelligence, within these waters, is that these chakras are not something that any doctor is going to cut from your body. No doctor is ever going to do any type of open surgery and tell you that they found these chakras or these seals. They're never going to. They're never going to cut open your body and find it sitting there like some organ, right? They are not physical objects. They are all psychological, spiritual, emotional, and energetic centers. They represent places in the self where something has to be understood. It is a mere representation of something that has to be understood. Once you begin to inquire about what it is, you open yourself up to understand that upon accessing these different things, it will take you into spaces of enlightenment. Things that you want to access, that you want to explore, will lead you into a deepening within the self, healing and overcoming of things that you didn't even know was blocked. So when I talk about the roots, we may be talking about fear, survival, safety, and the body's relationship to stability, finances, home, family. Everything that you begin to seek will always direct you back to the self, where it all began. Family, the root, the upbringing. Some people may be disconnected. They may be an individual that comes from an adopted family, and they never got to meet their original family. This system will help you connect to something deeper than that. This will help you to become deeper in understanding the self. Welcome. TikTok wants me to show my face. I am simply enjoying, but that's the real me behind the screen. I am here though. Anyhow, understanding the Kundalini will always guide you to something deeper than your own understanding of even what family is. When we talk about the sexual center, we may be talking about aspects of creativity, desire, intimacy, reproduction. And on the negative aspect of things, we may be talking about shame, fear, trauma, or things that have been suppressed. Thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate you for joining this evening. I hope that you receive all that you are going to receive. I pray that your week is full of joy, health, prosperity, and abundance throughout all of your endeavors. Thank you for joining. When we talk about the root, we may be talking about things of safety, survival, fear, and the body's relationship to stability. When we're talking about that root chakra, we're also talking about things that relate to our own very life force. As I spoke about on my YouTube channel, my YouTube video about protecting one's essence. When you come to understand your primordial intelligence, your purpose in life, why you must create systems, gain control of self, understand different patterns and behaviors of other individuals as well as your own self, then you'll understand what your purpose is in life. You'll be able to access the different tools that will help to assist you in your life in understanding yourself and getting through life. And when you come to that point, it is important, it is imperative for you to understand why you must trust your own essence, because it embodies your life force. When we're talking about self-governance and body mapping, this conversation all ties in together. It all ties in together because once you decide what type of experience that you want to have in this world, once you come to understand the systems that you have developed for yourself, and then you are honest and you're devoted to who you are and what you will tolerate in this world, you will begin to experience the ultimate orgasm ever to experience in life. I mean, orgasm in the sense of great experiences in life, beauty in life. You're attracting the wonders and delights of the world, okay? So you're understanding that your essence is important. And upon understanding that, you come to appreciate what the Kundalini is all about. So what is it all about? We recognize all of these different colors. We're recognizing the vibrations that correspond with them. We're recognizing where they correspond within the body. If you are a follower of Christ, if you're a follower of Islam belief, if you are a follower of Vedic deities, if you are a follower of the Orishas, they all are synonymous to one another. If you are like me, right, I'm a follower of IFAKOLADE, you will understand that each one of these are corresponding with an Orisha. We have Shango, you have Oshun, you have Yemaya, you have Ogun, you got Eshu, you have at the crown of the Ori. All of it corresponds with your complete existence. it's imperative for you to know what it is. Now, these colors are here because, let's just think of it. What is this now? So let's take a look at some things. Because I'm not sure what is going on with TikTok before I end up having some problems. Let me make sure. Okay, let's swap out this, right? Because somehow, some way, it doesn't believe that it is a clear image, and it actually is. It doesn't believe that it is a clear image, and it actually is. So let's. Okay, so let's make sure. Hopefully, there's no issue with this one here. Let's get back into the discussion, conversation. So, as we were talking about, each one of the kundalinis, each one of the chakras, rather, not kundalinis, each one of the chakras that you find on the kundalini corresponds with Narisha, a deity, a scripture, an Odu, as well as different African proverbs. And also different mantras as well. So the different mantras, the different kundalinis also correspond with the sound and frequency of music, of elements in nature, of different herbs, All of them correspond to one another. There's been different studies and philosophers that have found this system to be right and exact. And it's amazing to me because something that brings everything together makes so much sense. It makes so much sense to me. That's why I appreciate the system, and I appreciate those who have done the work over the years to bring about the different ways, the different comparisons, the different comparisons. Listen, forgive me because I have multitasking simply because these here platforms is trying to challenge me, bringing things up. So yeah, I'm gonna give myself time to calm down, okay? Because I know that my message is important, and I really appreciate the studies and stuff that I've found. Okay, so when we talk about each one of these chakra systems, right, and we begin down with the root. As I said before, the root is the area of the body that corresponds with stability, confidence within relationships, your safety, your survival, and any type of pre-programmed fears that you may have picked up along the way. When we talk about the root chakra, we're also speaking about our intimate and sensual centers of the body. We may be talking about aspects in terms of desire, creativity, reproduction, and also our life force. I am covering parts of the conversation that I left off of before the disruption. So anybody who's just tuning in, the root chakra speaks about your stability. It is important to protect one's own essence as well as their life force, and you will understand that if you have been watching my previous live streams upon protecting one's essence, forming a system, gaining control, and here today with the topic of self-governance and body mapping. As we understand these different chakras, we'll understand what parts of the body we should focus on if we're not focusing on all. It's a continuation, it's a practice, it's a daily practice of awareness. When we talk about our solar plexus, we may be talking about power, confidence, control, identity, and whether or not we trust ourselves. When we talk about the heart, we're talking about grief, we're talking about betrayal, on the negative side of things. We may be talking about the ability to stay open in order to avoid abandoning ourselves. Love, compassion, and unity amongst our communities. When we talk about the throat chakra, we are talking about voice, truth, expression, the courage to say the things that need to be said, And on the negative side, it could be suppression or silence. When we talk about the mind, I have my light, so now I can use my light. Perfect. As I'm here tuning in from the bed, guys. Talking about light, right? Okay. Thank you so much for the likes, and also thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you're receiving something from this message this evening. When we talk about the mind, which is our crown chakra, right? We are talking about focusing on. Oh, thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You can see I'm new. I'm like, what is that? Thank you. I'm gonna get my stuff sturdy. All right. We got it. We got it together. Perfect. And my light goes right back up here. Okay. I was really hoping that I would be able to still see majority of that, and so hopefully we stay consistent here. See majority of that, and so hopefully we stay consistent here. I'm not getting up because I'm not going back over to the desk. It is relaxing time. Okay. Inviting. Are you familiar with this topic? Let me know in the comments below. Okay. It's working. You see me. I'm here. All is well. All is well. All is well. Okay. So, as I said, when we are talking. Oh, hey, how you doing?
Oh, hey, this is my first time doing this.
Oh, I didn't
What happened to
know.
the music? You turned the music off?
No, can you still hear it?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. Welcome. I'm just like getting these. Okay, and now it says appeal approved. It keeps going back and forth and trying to get me to say that my image is bad. Like, okay. Can you see the image? The image is blurry.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to send a note saying I could still see it.
Okay. I
Yeah.
don't know why TikTok is saying that. Anyhow, are you familiar with this chakra system?
Somewhat, but I was listening to you going from the root to, the soul, no, the sacral, and then to the solar plexus, and you doing the heart, and then I think you was getting to the crown.
Yes. So the crown. So yeah, I was talking about the crown. The crown is synonymous to the ori. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Yoruba cosmology and the orishas, but so what I'm basically talking about is the comparisons between these systems as well as the Vedic deities, the different hertz, the orishas, and you know how all of it is synonymous in how it corresponds with the body, whether it be psychologically, spiritually, or emotionally, even as well financially. Like I'm going to be like diving into all of these things, and that's why I'm bringing the topic up now, um, to talk about. So when it comes down to the crown, right? When we're talking about the crown, we're simply talking about, our intelligence, the way that we think, the different patterns and stuff, and how we speak, how we are remembering things, and when we become aware of ourselves and also the things that surround us, and then even the stuff that we've been conditioned to believe. So I know that I invited you to come up here and just say it. I actually just, and just seeing if you're familiar with it. So if you have questions, since you're here, please let me know. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So the reason why, again, that I am bringing this up is because I think that far too often we get hooked up on, speaking about spirituality from the aspect of what others are doing to us versus what we are allowing to be. And a lot of times we find ourselves accepting of things based on the deficiencies and where we are in this here system, right? And so to reduce any of those, issues or experiences that we have, it's better to understand who we are, where we're going, and then how to govern ourselves throughout all of that. So how to govern ourselves, how to govern the things that we're experiencing versus judging everything, shaming everything, pointing and blaming, because all of that is deficient, is a distraction, and it keeps us from actually accessing the advantages that we have in the system, in our own system, in our own systems that we have. Again, self-governance. We'll know basically where we need to govern ourselves throughout the body based on our mapping. So if you find yourself judging people all the time, you will more than likely be deficient somewhere up in this area of the body. If you find yourself judging, it might be your thoughts, like, the patterns, about society or your perceptions amongst things. But then if you start to ask yourself, well, why do these things matter? Where did they come from? Well, then it'll take you down to the root chakra, right? Well, who told you, that this was a bad thing? Who told you that this was not the way to do a thing? Who told you that they were doing it wrong, right? Just because it isn't something that you were exposed to as a child, then that doesn't mean that what they are doing is out of order. It could be something new, but with an altered perception and viewpoint on things, then it will allow you to free up your sense of judging other individuals. We all do it. We all have gone through it. It's very common human behaviors, but if we want to experience the high points of life, then we have these tools to access to. So, for example, I saw somebody online screenshotting another person who was dancing, twerking, being sensual, enjoying their bodies, and then trying to use it as proof that the person was somehow low and moral or only doing it to raise money. The person that they screenshot was wearing an Ide, right? This is an Ide, Ileges, right? And so they made the comments surrounding, oh, it must be really hard out there in them Ifa streets, something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, when did it become immoral or a bad thing for us to enjoy ourselves, to dance, to twerk, to be sensual? When did those things become so bad, right? It is a natural thing. Why are we demoralizing the things that we're supposed to experience in this lifetime. So I just had to sit with that, because it is exactly the things that I'm talking about. This is how people end up creating deficiencies in their own lives because of their perceptions on what somebody else is doing, how somebody else is expressing themselves. Automatically, somehow, this becomes treated as dirty, improper, and or shameful somehow. Why is pleasure automatically treated as corruption? Especially if we're talking about pleasure of the body, ourselves. This is what I be talking about in terms of religion, and also abandon ourselves. Like, without being able to feel, without being in tune with ourselves, there will be no experience to life. There will be no experiences. You're not even connected with yourself, your own source. You know what I'm saying? So why would sensuality automatically be seen as proof that somebody is not spiritual? That is, a person who is thinking like that has no connection with the source, with the I am. So whether it be whether you are sitting in silence, quiet, or you are up, dancing, running, exercising, twerking, having an intimate exchange, or even experiencing sadness or anger, all of these are natural things to life, and it is a positive indicator that you are existing in this world, and you should be feeling all of these different things. There should be no blockages. There should be no shame. There should be no perceptions of corruptions because you are experiencing any of this. So I just had to go off on a tangent when talking about that, because I think that is another form of distraction, especially if we are seeking for a more enhanced experience in this lifetime as human beings. That is a distraction. Going back to the importance of self-governance and body mapping. If you're an individual and you simply want to have a human experience, a full body experience, a sensual experience, a joyful experience, dancing is natural, right? Expressing yourself should come with ease. You should not have any type of suppression or anything dealing with expressing yourself. And if you're trying to express yourself to individuals that don't receive you, find other outlets. Find other outlets like this right here. Right here, I am live. Ashe, thank you so much. Welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. I'm here right now speaking to you. It's 12:34 at night, right? And I'm having this conversation with you. It's not to say that I'm not being received anywhere, but this is my form of expression and creativity. I enjoy being here. I enjoy sharing things that are very, kind of like on edge. Like, these are the type of conversations that I enjoy to share. I tend to do it with ease. I'm being myself. This isn't a performance. This is me sharing my understanding of what primordial intelligence is, sharing my understanding of kundalinis and spirituality and frequency, hertz, and all of this. The wonders of the world, right? The wonders of the world, the wonders of my world. I am here to express the meaning of life. Are we not all, in some way, shape, or form, wondering, exploring what is the true meaning of life? Well, this is where I've come to find the meaning of life. The meaning of life in a full 360 is to govern oneself. It's to govern oneself and to understand where we are in life. In all aspects, on the complete spectrum, right, of the body. All aspects of self. So finding other ways to express is important if you are an expressive individual. However that may be. You want a full human experience, right? None of it automatically means that, if you're not capable of doing it one particular way, doesn't mean that you are disconnected, right? We have people who play instruments. That's a form of expression. They don't have to say a word. People who are painters, expression. People who just like to dance, expression. People who like to put together digital products or put together computers. They might even be on the spectrum and don't communicate well, but somehow, some way, they was able to put together a computer system. Like, wow, you know what I'm saying? But that is a form of self-expression. They were able to tune, lock in with themselves, govern themselves in order to master a task, and then to be able to articulate it and or to complete it, like put it together, basically. Right? I think that sometimes some of the issues that we experience is not what people are doing, but sometimes the real issue is that the way that we perceive a thing is trapped within judgment, and that's where we access right here, this part of the body, judgment. So what I mean when I say that we have to move beyond the way to remove yourself from judgment is to explore different programming and or religions and or indoctrinate things that has been programmed in your mind from birth. That's what I mean whenever I say that we should move beyond religion, because all it is lower. It's lower level consciousness. True spirituality is about becoming more than pointing the blame and faulting others and picking at others and what they're doing. Like true spirituality has nothing to do with pointing fingers, exposing people, trying to humiliate people, deciding who is clean or unclean, pure or impure, worthy or unworthy. Them type of conversations have nothing to do with full liberation and full experiences of the body. Those type of conversations have nothing to do with it. This is why I don't engage in things like the whole, what is his name? Clay Thomas and Megan Thee Stallion type of things. I don't get involved in gender wars. Like, I remember throughout 2020, 2023, where those conversations were just infested all over the internet. And it would like really get to me to where I was like, I think what I need to do is delete social media for a while, deactivate the profiles that I have, or delete the apps and just no longer get on them. If I don't have access to the apps, then I won't feel a need to get on here, and freaking everything that's on my freaking timeline is going to be all about this hearsay, gossip, celebrity news, this and that. It's like distractions. It's distractions, especially when we're dealing with wanting to be connected, wanting community, wanting relationships. You know that the truth is that most people actually want to be connected. People really want communities. They want to have friends. They want to have social life. They want to have intimate experiences. They want to have a counterpart. They want to be accepted and received well. That's why you hear more complaining than you do, enjoyments, because the issue lies there within suppression, in that this is where people stay fixated the most. They just sit there and complain. Behind the complaints, you'll hear exactly what they really want. They talk a lot about, how much this woman is sleeping with this person and her value being low and this and that. On the contrary of that is that they would like to have access to this woman. They would love to be able to enjoy the delight or pleasure of sleeping and having this woman, conquering this woman, even if it's, just for a short period of time. They would like someone like that woman. When women talk about men not doing this and not doing that, right? Contrary to that is that they would love to have somebody that gives them these things, to give this experience, to share this experience with, to make them feel safe. All of these things, distractions. None of it is getting to the root of the issue. It's just creating more trifling behavior on top of it, when the root of it is that they should be thinking more about what do I need to do in order to receive the things that I want to receive in life. What is it about myself that is so conflicted that I am fixated on things that don't serve me versus the things that I want to receive in life? What do I need to do to shift my perspective and or my position in the world so that I can receive those things? Okay, I might have to be more disciplined. I might need to eliminate some things. I might need to, remove myself or eliminate some things in my life so that I can figure out what it is that I truly want, how to get there, a strategy. Again, self-governance and body mapping. Self-governance and body mapping. That's how we get there. Protecting your essence, what you do and do not want, being honest about who you are, what is it that you would like to receive in life, what would you like to learn, not fix, because I think that fix is a limiting term and nothing about you is broken. It might be some things about you that you want to learn or that you can learn, but you just have to make the accommodations and adjustments in your life in order to prepare to learn those things. Self-governance, body mapping, right? Again, the things that people fixate on the most are just mere distractions and low-level conversations. We want to experience true liberation, so we have to gain a sense of control. A sense of control. A lot of us know what it is intuitively. That is the primordial intelligence that we have, that we were already embedded with. Ashe. What pattern is being revealed during the time? What type of questions should you ask yourself? Right? Primordial intelligence does not operate from a state of deficiencies. What type of system do I need in order to control my body? What type of wound may I have internally that needs to be revealed or exposed? Since people like to expose other people, right? Maybe they have a fear of being exposed themselves. So they think a relative versus the truth about themselves. A fear of projection. What fear is being projected? What fears am I projecting on someone else? So understanding these things will bring about complete awareness and to assist one in actually knowing the difference. And also, where do they want to be? So I could speak about patterns, I could speak about behaviors, I could speak about manipulation, coercion, shame, spiritual abuse, and control, but I'm not going to, point the blame or, try to speak over about what other people are doing, or I'm not going to speak and try to tell you about what you're doing in order to feel good about myself. I don't have to do that. I don't have to tell you, that what you're doing is right or wrong. This is not going to really help me with living a full experience, a full embodied experience here on this lifetime. It's not going to assist me in any of my limited beliefs and or suppressions that I might have in order to reach these parts of the body. Right? It is not going to help me. Distractions are simply enemies of the body. Distractions are enemies of your body. Where do you find yourself distracted the most? Your body will tell you if you ask the right questions. If you sit with yourself long enough, your body will reveal parts of you that needs the attention needs your attention. The body is a map. The body is a data center. The body is where memory is stored, trauma, your desires, what unlocks, the truth about yourself, the intimate parts about yourself. The body is where you can find protection. The body is where fear lies, as well as your intuition. The body is divine intelligence, all stored within one. When we are talking about Kundalini rising, I hear that as the intelligence of the body beginning to awaken. I hear it as the lower self no longer being allowed to run this whole system on its own. When I hear Kundalini rising, I hear the body learning how to move energy upward instead of letting everything stay in a dormant, trapped state of survival, shame, lust, fear, anger, and reaction. I guess we could sit with the idea of lust, because again, I don't really view lust as a bad thing. I don't really view any of these things as a bad thing. Shame, lust, anger, fear. I don't believe that any of them are a bad thing. For me, these things are mere indicators of the parts of your body that wants your attention. So whenever these emotions arise, or you're experiencing these type of feelings, whenever they come, you could greet them almost as mere distant cousins that are coming to visit you. So if you're experiencing any type of shame, most of the time people experience shame because they have not yet figured out a way or put together a strategy for themselves that will allow them to reposition their views on life. Shame requires you to basically say, okay, I can no longer sit here long enough. I need to remove myself out of feeling bad about myself. Or if someone made you feel bad, why did they make you feel bad? And why are you still sitting there for so long? What is it about that experience that makes you sit there for so long? Because that's what shame is. Shame is meant to keep you stuck. And the only reason why you would be stuck somewhere is because you haven't figured out a way to uproot yourself, reposition yourself. So you need strategies. You have to find a strategy for yourself. Finding a strategy for yourself to remove yourself out of feeling bad, whether it be maybe you feel bad as a parent. Children make you feel ashamed. Your parents may make you feel ashamed. You didn't go to school the way that they wanted you to go, dropped out. Okay? A failed marriage might bring about shame. Having the ability to adapt will assist you with removing yourself from shame. There is no such thing as fear. So things don't go right in the marriage. Okay. Next, if children, maybe holding on to something that occurred, years ago that you were not able to, no, you know what I'm saying? You couldn't do anything about it. You were operating to the best of your capacity in those situations. Forgive yourself, find a new strategy, take a new approach, move forward. Living has been the greatest healing experience ever. If you can show people that you're able to adjust, change your life, and move forward and live, when they see that you're moving forward and living, like that is the best approach to most things. Like, well, damn, I guess if she's moved on or he's moved on and I'm still sitting here thinking about the past, I guess this might be a personal issue. Yes, it's a personal issue because I've decided that I'm going to remove myself from the situation. I'm deciding that I no longer can sit here. It is not good for my health. So therefore, I want to shift my perception. I want to change my position in life and I want to move forward and do something different. I need a strategy. How can you go back? Find other people to surround yourself with that's living the life that you want to live and ask them how did they get there. Figure out how to do the same thing for them. Get up and then do it. Get up and do it. That's it. Ashe, thank you, Tina. Thank you so much for the heart. I appreciate that. It's important to understand your body to be able to map out the things that you're experiencing in life in order to govern yourself. Self-governance matters because if you cannot govern your own body, your own mind, your own desires, your own emotions and reactions, then somebody else will always be able to govern it for you. Somebody's always going to want you to be dependent upon them, right? To find the flaws or whatever, they can look at this chakra system instead of you. They see the chakra system. They know that this exists. They can easily pinpoint the parts of your body that they can attack and trick you into believing that it is deficient, it is broken, it's not working, and there's no way to access it. All the while you are relying upon them for your desires in life, for your stability, for your confidence, validation, right? For your emotional well-being, your heart, to love again. Hopefully you believe in love again. If you are a divorced person, hopefully you believe in love again so I can breadcrumb you into believing whether you're worthy or not of my love, right? Here, communication. I know that having my attention and my focus is really important for you. I can control of whether or not you will be heard again. A lot of people suffer right here with communicating because when they were a child, they were not able to express themselves well. So then they get older and they find friends, and those friends listen to them until they no longer want to listen anymore. As long as it's benefiting them, they'll listen to you. But the moment that you don't have anything to offer, then they can easily start to pull back and make you dependent upon them. You have to be careful. Self-governance is important. You have to know where in the body do you need to work on governing yourself better. I'm checking my battery. Make sure that okay, I still have time. Let's keep it moving. Okay. So yes, it's important that you govern yourself so that you don't have to rely or depend on others in order to do it for you. Religion will govern you. Shame will govern you. Fear, a spiritual leader, community, a lover, your trauma. Your trauma will govern you. Your need to be accepted will govern you, right? But when you remember that you were born here with your own code embedded in you that we call primordial intelligence, then you will begin to rise above all of this and start recognizing what is happening inside of you before it starts to control you. Hi. Hello. So you start recognizing when somebody is trying to pull you into shame. You start recognizing when somebody is trying to use morality as a weapon against you. Start recognizing when somebody is not correcting their behavior but always trying to dominate you and correct you. Yeah, you will recognize the pattern. Once you start to recognize the pattern, everything will start to arise, right? Everything will start to be made aware to you. It'll feel like you're beginning to awaken, all right? Awaken within yourself. Remember, the goal is not to escape your own body. The goal is to understand the body, your desires, your wants, and your needs here in this life, in this world. The goal is not to suppress your emotions in the way that you express yourself. The goal is to understand the emotions that you are carrying. Like I said, to treat them as mere visitors, distant relatives that are coming to greet you, to have a cup of coffee, ask them if it needs sugar, figure out what you need to do in order to make the visit more enjoyable for you in that experience, right? To understand what exactly the visit is with these emotions, what they are, is not to pretend as though you are above being human, all right? The goal is to be conscious inside of your humanity so that you can see the progression and the real work unfold. This whole concept right here is intuitive. This is ancient systems here that has been studied. All of this has been studied. When you really think about it, we actually were taught a lot of this stuff in school, in math. You got the frequencies. To be able to even reach the crown chakra, you have to know math. You have to know trigonometry. How does trigonometry correlate with this? Well, you take the meaning of life, you take principles and how you are living your life, a system, right? You bring it all together and you figure out how exactly is it going to work for yourself. That's how you figure it out. What is this? Somebody's requesting. Let me know who you are. It says a friend. I'm not sure if I know who you are. And I want to stay focused on the topic. So let me know who you are. Again, these are all ancient systems. We're talking about energy rising from the base of the spine onto the crown. And I don't hear people talk about this without trying to bring up spookism. When it shouldn't be, right? There should be no talks around spookism involving any of this, right? When I hear that this is an ancient system, I do not hear anything about spookism. I do not hear that this is hard to reach or to understand, that is foreign and is not of me and is completely separated from me. No, in fact, I hear that is an instruction, it is a map, and this is fully a human experience that I am experiencing right here now today, especially as an IFAKOLADE practitioner. I see the correspondence in it throughout it. It makes perfect sense to me. It makes perfect sense to me. Throughout my IFAKOLADE journey, the moment that I started to ask, well, how exactly would I be able to see myself in nature, in politics, in the sound of the ocean? How will I be able to really see myself throughout all of that? When I started asking that question, that's when everything else starts to make perfect sense. Perfect sense. I already was into herbalism. So being into herbalism, I'm understanding that different scents, different herbs correlate with certain parts of the body that will heighten sight, vision, scent, different senses of the body. All of it makes sense. All of it makes perfect sense to me. So therefore, I see myself clear as day throughout all of this entire system. It is a map. It is a reminder that all of these levels exist within inside of me. It exists within all of us. That we must be open in order to understand it fully. And then confront the things that keep us limited on understanding what it is about. So when you come to the point in your life and you decide, I want to understand this, I want to understand the centers so that I am able to open myself up, so that I can open up. They will try to run you down and try to tell you that you are doing something demonic and evil, but that is far from the truth. That is far from the truth. Even in Christian philosophies and certain pastors, right? They will lead you to believe that your brain is only operating at about 10%. The rest of the 90% of your body, that your brain has, is for religion or their deity, Jesus Christ, to control and to have control over. So yes, when I say they will run you down, they will run you down. That other 10% is where you pay your tithes and offerings to, and that you follow. Don't ask no questions. Don't ask no questions. Just follow and do as you are told to do. That's the 10% that they want you to access. So until those centers have opened, people can read scriptures all day. They can pray all day. They can quote books. They can quote odus as well. Because we're not going to pretend that even in IFAKOLADE that people do not practice IFAKOLADE religiously to the point that their understanding stops at a ceiling level. Everything is about either an Odu or Orisha. They bring the same form of thinking from their Christian indoctrination right into IFAKOLADE, West African spirituality. They do the same thing there, and they think that they can quote scriptures or Odus rather, and wear their leges, their titles, their clothing, their white clothes, their crowns, sing songs, and throw around spiritual names all day, right? But if the consciousness does not rise before then, if the behavior doesn't change, if the body is still governed by fear, shame, control, jealousy, envy, judgment, then the person is still operating from lower frequencies, lower understanding. Right? This is why I speak about primordial intelligence here at Sacred Waters Healing Temple. Right? Not just trying to muster up some new word or anything like that. No, this is primordial intelligence. I didn't have to go all the way to Nigeria to get initiated in order to come to this understanding. This is something that I've always understood years prior to even understanding IFAKOLADE. The only thing that I would say that has contributed to this is the comparative analysis. That has been a great attribute to all of it, because yes, I see all of these different things and how they are synonymous to one another. And that's why I come here to share. If you try to join a live or request a live, you must share something in the comment section so that I know that whatever you're thinking of coming onto the screen to talk about is relative to the conversation that we're talking about. I am not just going to invite or accept anyone joining the live if they're not adding on to the discussion that I'm talking about. I've tried that before, and people get on here and they no, listen, I'm not even gonna go there. Right? Brain rot is the issue, and I'm not going there with that. Let me go ahead and take care of something. Because obviously you keep trying to request to join my live. You're not going to be distracting the conversation. Again, those are distractions, mere monitoring spirits. Anyhow, again, about self-governance, what do you want to receive, or what type of experience that you want to have here on this world, in this earth, and what are you willing to tolerate? You gotta know about these type of things, because they will try, especially when they see that you have a good cause, good mission, you're able to think for yourself. They will come and they will try, and it is very, very, it can be challenging, but it also could be very funny at the same time. But I know who I am. So anyhow, that's the benefit of having primordial intelligence. Knowing myself. Knowing myself, knowing what I want to experience here on this lifetime. And whenever I am met with distractions and or weird behaviors, I've returned back to my original intelligence. Right? And I get back to the script. Back to the system. Understanding this is important. Understanding this is important so that nobody can come and mess up your flow, right? It's all about your chi. This is what the Kundalini is talking about. Kundalini is no longer just a Hindu word, right? Kundalini becomes something that is much more older, ancient, beyond ancestral. It is something that transcends religion. Something that has always been pointing us back to the same truth. The body must awaken. The mind must be disciplined. The lower self must be governed. The spirit must rise. And the person must return to themselves. That is what this is about. Returning back to yourself. Maria. Returning back to yourself. So now whenever we are talking about Kundalini inside of the biblical framework, thank you for the likes. I want to make it very clear that I am not speaking about this is something strange outside of ourselves or some type of belief. Ashe, thank you. Right? I'm not speaking about it as some strange outside belief that has nothing to do with what people have already been taught. I am speaking about it as a hidden language, something symbolic in a scriptural, I say scriptural, and or spiritual map that has been sitting inside of ourselves. These scriptures lie within the body and inside of ancient systems of knowledge along the way. When people in the church say that they want their name written in the Lamb's Book of Life, they may not realize that this can also be read as symbolic, a symbolic reference to awaken life inside of the body. The Bible is merely instructions. to live a better life. The book written within the spine, the crown, and the 7 seals all must be opened by doing the inner work. Primordial intelligence comes in because primordial intelligence does not just accept the surface explanation. It asks, what is the reality of the words that are being taught to me, that are being preached to me? What is it all pointing to at the end of the day? Why am I being invited to host something that I am here in the world? It's all about governing the self. The book will point you to parts of your body that will tell you what exactly is it that I need to focus on. It will tell you, what did the ancestors do? This is how you find it. Whatever book it is that you find, the book of Enoch, the book of Eli, the Bible, the Kabbalah, the Quran, all of it is going to point you back to yourself. All of these different stories and stuff that the prophets were talking about, these ancient teachers understood the human system well before. They were studying the ancients, they were studying the different philosophers, they were studying the sage, wise people. They were studying. Oh yes, they were studying you. They're still studying you to this day. That's why we have cameras and surveillance. They're just sitting there studying. They all understood that these teachings were going to be needed in this time and day. And then they just found a way to put it into a religious indoctrination. Because if Revelation speaks of a book in the right hand of the one who sits on the throne, written within and sealed with the 7 seals, then I cannot just read that as something outside of me. I'm going to want to ask, what exactly does the right side mean? What does that even mean? They've just wrote these books in a way that it's like they were writing in riddles or something. They wrote it this way so something inside of you would spark curiosity and make you begin to seek and ask questions. The downside of it is that you were only taught to ask questions externally. And now you got to go get this story from over here, get this person's point of view, get this person's insight, go over here, hear all of these people, and then come all the way back to yourself. Meeting all these people and being disappointed, hoping and believing that they're going to teach you something greater than what your body can tell you, hoping that they are going to lead you to some place of milk and honey. The only thing that they're going to lead you to is the path of destruction, disappointment. And that destruction, this disappointing, all of this unfavorable experiences that you will have is what is going to catapult you into the direction that you need to go into. And that is why we must greet these emotions as distant relatives. You can't stay stuck there. If you stay stuck there, then you're going to end up going back into regression. You're going to end up going back into regression, back to sit at the feet of individuals and wait on them to feed you your freedom, your liberation. And you're never going to arrive there. And in the Bible, it said in the Bible that nobody has ever been able to reach this part. They would love for you to believe that nobody was ever able to reach that, the highest ascension of one's true self. They would love for you to believe that, so you do not ask the questions that you need to ask in this world. Except just, be a witness, and allow things to happen to you. But I'm just not built like that. I have to ask, what throne exists within the body? I have to ask, what does the right hand represent? I'm the one that's going to ask, what are the 7 seals and why they must be opened before the fullness of life can be revealed. What was the 7 seals about? When I hear the term Kundalini, meaning the coiled serpent, right? For me, I do not hear that as something evil. I don't hear that as something evil or demonic, separate from God. I don't hear that. What I hear that as a symbol of dormant energy, intelligence, life force, something that I need to be tapping into so that I can access an electromagnetic power inside of the body that is going to rise in its proper time. I want to know what was that feeling. I'm just like that. I'm a bit curious to know. I want to know, well, hell, that sounds a little, I don't know. I don't know. It sounds like something I want to try. I think I want to explore what that's about. The serpent, in this sense, is not about fear, but they told us that the serpent was about fear. And they led us to believe that the serpent was evil and it had tricked Eve out of her spot and had her believing that she had cursed all of us and pretty much led us into bondage, right? They led us to believe it, but that's not the truth. The serpent is about movement. It's about health. It's about seducing the body to access the highest points of evolution. It's about wisdom. It is about the winding current of life that moves through the spine, the nervous system, your memory, and through the spiritual centers that have been closed off by trauma, shame, fear, religion, and survival. The sad reality is that some of this stuff was intentionally designed for us to stay dormant. It's a wicked game out here. The most powerful part about all of this is that the scripture says no man in heaven, no man on earth, and no man under the earth was able to open the book or lose the seals. So when I hear that, I'm not hearing it as no male. I hear man as the ordinary human mind, the ego mind, the intellectual mind, the part of us that thinks it can force awakening, right? Control spirit, dormant truth. When I hear that, it starts to make me think like, okay, everything is about your thoughts. It all comes down to mental effort. What are you capable of thinking? Like what are your thoughts in this world? You got to have control over your thoughts. But it's not going to be just like, mental thoughts alone. There's parts of us that must be studied, of course. We have to go through different things, such as the ego. A lot of us still face issues with the ego. And the reason why the ego is put there is to assist us with confronting our lower distractions. And it's important for us to be able to confront those lower things, because the ego will not assist you in opening these parts of the body. The ego is not going to assist us. It's going to keep us dormant. The lower mind cannot force your higher self into anything. You're not going to be able to access any of this. The ego cannot break into divine consciousness. That is why people must study, must do their due diligence, right? Avoid argument, avoid debates, avoid getting into scripture battles with individuals. Avoid all of that. You know what I'm saying? All of that is just mere distractions. I haven't had a good scripture debate since 2012. I haven't had a good scriptural debate since 2012. That was when I had decided, I think I want to become Pan-African. I think I want to be vegan. I've been on this journey for a long time. 10 years, more than 10 years. But sitting in debates with elders or Bible thumpers, scripture battles or whatnot, all of that is forms of the ego, and it still says that you're wrestling with things within yourself, whether it is being heard, being validated, proving to people that you are so smart. All of that is irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the ascension of your true self. Nothing. It is not going to assist you in your transformation, because the mind by itself cannot even tell the difference between what's right or wrong. If you're going to sit and argue with a person, how is it going to assist you the way that it needs to assist you? Yeah, so moving on. It's important that once you come into understanding, or at least a mere lactation of what this is even about, that you understand that it cannot be rushed. It's a process. We're not just taking colors and then just slapping them on AI pictures and then repeating what somebody else said. A lot of this stuff is lived experiences. I personally am speaking from a lived experience as well, in addition to understanding the teachings of elders, understanding the teachers of spiritual constituents that I am connected to, people who speak about these things, people who relate, people who are living, in all parts of the world, throughout different spiritual systems. And it is a continual mastery of self, learning the self. It's a job. It's a way of life. So yes, this is not something that you just force your way into, because you just want to sound cool, look sensual, you want power, you want some status because you want to be seen as a spiritualist or whatever, or because you want to bypass the pain that you're going through. You have to address the things that you have not healed. This can be dangerous. There are people who have gotten involved in these different spiritual systems, and they undergo spiritual psychosis. RIP to many families, who have lost loved ones because they had a mental breakdown. before you get involved in certain things, you have to ask yourself, do you have the mental capacity to even indulge yourself into any of these things? Because it can really take you through some stuff, okay? I even know back in the day, early 2010, 2011, where, people are online, different communities online, different forums or whatnot. Everybody's looking for their community, their vibe. Here we are 10 years later, so many families separated. Those homeschooling people, it was all about pro this, pro that. They're not homeschooling. They have regrets. They have sent their kids back to public schools. People are in jail, prison, children taken away from them. A lot of stuff going on because they come into these spiritual practices with the wrong intent. Status, power over other, influence over other individuals, all things that they never sat with, never addressed it. Never addressed. So you cannot manipulate your way into consciousness. You have to sit with yourself, and you have to become a host, and an honest host with yourself, doing introspective work. You know what I'm saying? There has been several occasions where I used to be very, very wooed by, someone of interest because they was speaking about these different spiritual practices, and I had not got to the point of deep understanding of it. I knew to my surface of what I knew just when I wanted to be interested in it, but I didn't know to the level that I am in now. And because of that, it was like it impressed me. I was easily impressed by these individuals to where I believed in them. And also had a sense of, resonance and attraction to them, enough to have my time wasted at least at a minimum a year and a half. Okay, nothing too far. I ain't losing myself too bad. I don't got no children out here from these type of encounters. I don't got no debt. Thank God for that. I still have my mind. I can still create something. I can still study. I can still do what I want to do, what I set out intentionally. I am still here doing it, and I'm seeing the works of it, the discipline of it. So you have to address these things so that you will not be manipulated into certain situations. And whenever you decide that you want to take the path of living these spiritual systems, you know that you're doing it for yourself. You've allowed your body, your spirit, and the intelligence within you to unfold according to the divine telling and timing of natural law. It works out perfectly. And you will see that it works out perfectly. You will see based off of the fruits of your labor. There will be no confusion. God is not of confusion. The crown, your ori, is not of confusion. None of this is of confusion. You will not be trapped and stuck in any kind of way, because none of it is about confusion. This is the same way that gardening works, right? You cannot plant a seed today and then snatch it out of the soil tomorrow because you are impatient. You cannot yell at the seed and force it to become a tree. You have to create the conditions, and then you have to give it some water to nurture it. Make sure that it's in a position of good lighting. I was just outside earlier today gardening. You have to make sure that you are putting your plants, your seeds, in an area where you know it's going to get the best sunlight. Okay? You have to give it water. You have to give it some time. And you have to trust the process that what it is that you are seeking, whatever it is that you're trying to initiate, right? that it is already encoded inside. Like it is only going to do exactly what it's sent to do. Like once you put a seed inside of the ground, it already is going to do what it was meant to do. Like I'm gonna attach myself over here, this root over here, everything's starting to come up together, all working according to its purpose and intent in divine order. And that is how I understand the Kundalini. It is not about forcing the body to perform these different things, to perform spirituality. There was a point in time where I used to do the affirmations, the I am, right? And I felt better doing the I am rather than reading scriptures. I had just come out of Christianity. Felt better about doing I am versus the scriptures because I'm basically, declaring the truth on who I am. I'm not just making up things. I went from the point of, okay, I'm just going to read, what was shown to me, to then getting creative and then making it more personal to what I am and what I wanted to receive, what type of experience that I feel, right? And then it made more sense. But going to the Bible and reading it like John and ye, they, and they, I felt so detached. It did not resonate with me. I did not feel as though I was being heard. Then I just had to shift my perception on how I received, how I would speak to myself. And then I learned how to pray better. So we don't force spirituality. We're not forcing or performing spirituality over here. I really am about creating a true system for myself with new conditions where what was once dormant is now vibrant inside and it rises naturally. I'm able to speak it, I'm able to teach it, the message is being conveyed well. And again, because I have my own experiences with different spiritual systems, I'm able to speak from my own experience, right? I'm able to say that when I was younger, the Bible did not resonate with me as much as it does today. I'm able to understand that part of the Bible that speaks about the Lion of the tribe of Judah being worthy to open the seals. I hear that as the power of the rising sun. I hear that as the power of courage, spiritual authority, the power to have relationship with higher consciousness, the power of the right side, becoming active within myself. I'm able to read the book as though I'm reading stories written about me. Because now I understand that the stories of the Bible are stories about ourselves. It's about the left and the right side of the brain. When it talks about, traveling from the east, is simply stating the parts of myself that is rising within. It's talking about a place inside of myself where divine authority rises and says, I am no longer allowing for fear, shame, trauma, lust, rage, jealousy, or confusion to rule over my kingdom. That's the principle of David. David represents the one who takes the land, protects the land, governs the land, and keeps watch over what enters the kingdom. Self-governance. That is what self-governance is about. It is the ability to say, I am not going to let every thought rule me. I am not going to let every desire rule me. I am not going to let every person who triggers me control me. I am not going to let every memory drag me back into a version of myself I am trying to heal from. That is the spiritual discipline. That is sovereignty. That is primordial intelligence rising into command. So now whenever this energy rises, it does not rise just for the sake of making a person feel mystical or spiritual. It rises to open what has been sealed. It rises to bring awareness to places where we are still bound. It rises through the root where fear and survival thrives. It rises through where trauma may still exist. Where any type of shame or suppression, guilt of pleasure, creativity, and trauma may still be stored. It rises through your identity, the confidence that you have, your ability to express and have power over it. It signals out any type of awareness related to betrayal, grief, loneliness, issues with forgiveness. All of these things begin to uproot to assist you in confronting things that are keeping you dormant from receiving the highest ascension of one's true self. And so when I hear the phrase that the serpent lies coiled 3.5 times, I hear that as a coded language for cycles, timing, degrees, and completion. I hear it as the body holding a pattern that has not yet been activated. When I hear that the serpent lies coiled 3.5 times, I hear it as an electromagnetic field of potential waiting for a person to ask deeper questions, to seek within and stop depending on the middleman to interpret life for them. Because another part of this work is at some point you have to stop outsourcing your entire spiritual life to someone else. Teachers can be a guide, your elders can teach, scriptures can point you in the right direction. Traditions may hold wisdom, but your body still has to become a living temple of understanding all of these things. So whenever I'm asked about different colors, right? Or when we hear different passages, we should ask the right questions. Whenever we hear a word being used several different times in the book, like the number 9, that comes from 1260, is important because 9 represents wholeness, completion, consciousness, and the full circle. Everything that we are looking for externally eventually brings us back to self. Everything we are chasing through other people, that we're seeking through other people, other systems, titles or validations, authorities eventually bring us back into ourselves, the inner temple that we have. The Sacred Waters Healing Temple. Sacred Waters Healing Temple is a temple that exists within me. I am the temple. Wherever I go, the temple is found. We could be at the park, the river, on the mountain, in the airplane at the park, at a picnic. Wherever I go, Sacred Waters Healing Temple will be there. I am the Eleh. I am the Eleh. I am the home, the body, the temple, the mosque. That is why full circle matters, because the journey may begin with us looking outside for these answers, but real awakening brings us back to the body, back to the way that we breathe, our nervous system, back to our memory, back to the spirit, and back to the original intelligence that has always been there, always existed. This is also why certain sacred numbers repeat across meditation systems. Chants, mantras, rituals, counts, prayer beads, and spiritual disciplines. When people chant 108 times or sit in repetition with sacred names or use these certain counts or in prayers, this is not random. This is about rhythm. This is a pattern. It is the entrainment, right? With the body being brought into alignment through repetition, sound, breath, and focus. And so whenever we hear these numbers, I understand them differently. Not just some religious numbers. Oh, 108. Oh, that must be for this. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not just that. What I hear is the program, the teaching, like technology. I hear the body basically going through a system of binary codes, that ancient system teaching the human being how to regulate, how to align, and how to awaken. This is why music is so powerful. This is why music is powerful. I just released a album of 8 different Hertz frequency music. Now, usually whenever people think about the Hertz frequency music, they hear the music that's playing here in the background. They hear the music that's playing in the background, and they think that this is the sound of meditation. This is the only way that you can get into a meditative space. Well, I am from East St. Louis, Illinois. I grew up throughout the Southeast. I grew up and spent many years on the West Coast. There are so many different sounds and frequencies happening around. So many different sounds have been programmed to different people's mind that they speak differently. They hear different pitches, right? They speak at different pace and rates. So when I decided to produce the 2 albums that I released, Primordial Intelligence and the Motherboard, with these Hertz frequencies being, an influence of the context of the sounds, I had to bring in something of the South, some Florida beats, some Houston instruments, some Chicago sounds. I had to bring them in because I know for me that meditation is more than sitting Indian style cross legs for an extended period of time. I know that for me, if I listen to a beat again and again and again, I can go into a trance just by that. And it could be, 808, it could be any type of sound. It does not just have to be this one sound. And then if I put my own mantra, my own affirmations in it, I'm going to be meditating on what is being said at that moment too. So my focus is then set based on the intentions that I'm putting in the words that I'm saying and or the beat that I'm making. I choose what it is that I want to focus on at the time to get wherever I want to be. My music is catered towards what the intention that I want to set at the time. And then those who want to share that same thing is able to access that music and join in on the meditation with you. Understand that the intention has already been met. The intention has already been met. It's to align, to regulate, and to awaken. So we learn about these ancient systems, and then we have to decide what is it that we are going to do to reinvent it, and make it personalized for us, for what we are going to do with it, and how it's going to work in this lifetime that we're living, our personal lifetime. Whenever I read the book of Revelations and it speaks of two witnesses, I hear that as the inner witnesses, the pineal gland, and the pituitary, the higher centers of perception and regulation. The king's chamber, the Ori, right? The Ori, or the queen's chamber inside the inner temple. Again, I'm not reading or understanding any of this as if it is something that is outside of me. I'm seeing myself through all of it. I am reading this as something only that is within me. I'm reading it as if it is on both sides of me. Like, this is in completion about me. The book of Revelation is about me. I am reading it as above and below, with and without. My temple, my holy space, my sanctuary, right? And the breath is the doorway. The nervous system is my field. The spine is the ladder. The energy is my serpent, seducing each one of these so that I can experience each one of these. The consciousness is the book, what is written, and the seals are the areas inside of myself that must be opened through discipline, purification, meditation, and truth. So that I'm able to come here now and to share, to be able to articulate myself well enough to understand what is being said. So that you're able to receive how it can be made possible for you to do the same thing. I love this entire conversation, because again, we're moving from out of what others have done or are doing for us to what are we doing for ourselves. And it doesn't have to be broadcast. Your plans don't have to be revealed to anybody, or however this may work for you, just as long as you receive it. And however long that it may take you. Honor your silence. Honor the process. Silence matters. When a temple was being built, scripture says there was no hammer, no axe, and no tool of iron heard in the house while it was being built. That is a powerful statement. Because a lot of times we think that we have to go and be performative and or in motion, like we're programmed to think that if we're not moving, then we're not getting anything done. The real work is not always loud, boastful, The real transformation is not always seen or public. The deepest parts of ourselves is not built through performance. It can be built in silence and solitude. When you sit with yourself. And most importantly, whenever you stop reacting to what others are doing or what they tell you to do, that you make a decision to do what is needed for you to receive whatever it is that you want to receive in this lifetime. I think the greatest pyramids that are built are the ones that are built within us. When you stop needing everybody else to understand you, and you stop letting outside noise become the ruler of your inner world, yeah, that's, to me, I'm sure that will make the greatest pyramid. So before you decide that you need to go travel, to go to China, Benin, or any other place, Egypt, to go see those places, make sure that you have established your own temple, your own great wall, your own ancient walls, that you've already written scriptures for yourself, that you already have written hieroglyphics, a plan for your own life, and that you're living by it. And that you're living by it, instead of trying to figure out the scriptures that you read in the Bible, right? Make sure that you understand your own scriptures, right? Whenever you're reading books out of the Bible, like whenever they speak about Jesus and money, and how he ran these people out of the temple. What I hear, whenever I hear that, when he was flipping over those tables, is that as a symbol of clearing out the mind, the noise, in any of these transactions and distractions that are not serving to myself. Clearing out anything that turned what is a sacred space for me into a marketplace for other people. Because that can happen in the mind, especially when we're expressing. We're hoping that we're going to be received well, in that people will like us, follow us, believe in us, right? And if the mind doesn't receive that, if we're not receiving that, then our mind would misinterpret it as fear, judgment, comparison, resentment. None of that is of God. None of that is of the higher self. None of it is of abundance. And before we can actually truly receive the blessings of higher self, then we have to be clear about what it is in life that we want to receive, our spirituality. Clear about what is emotional intelligence. Clear enough to be able to interpret higher intelligence, to move and navigate through the body. This is why meditation speaks about stillness and breathing and prayers. Prayers, mantras, meditations are all constructs of the body to assist one in awareness. Once you're able to be still and focus on what it is at hand that you want to manifest, then you will begin to see the winding of the stairs make much sense. If you're familiar with the staircase that they speak about in the Bible, if you're familiar with the nautilus shell, in Yoruba tradition, cowries and seashells, the staircase, all will make sense. This is infinite knowledge and information, infinite understanding. Exploring all of this will help you to access the construct of the mind, the inner temple. The energy does not rise in a straight line because life does not move in a straight line. DNA does not move in a straight line. Water does not always move in a straight line. That's why we have tsunamis and tornadoes, right? Our bodies are representation of water. Our bodies hold over 70% of water within it. That is how our memory is also stored through the waters of our body. Primordial intelligence. Remember, that's what we're talking about here. Primordial intelligence teaches us to ask these questions. Why was the door on the right side? Why were the stairs winding? Why is the right hand repeated over and over again? Why does the east matter? Why does the rising sun matter? Why does the temple have chambers? Why does the body have temples inside or on the side of it? Why are we told the body is the temple, but then trying to ignore the body and to put all this bad stuff inside of it? Why are we being kept from being able to have access to simple resources that allow for our bodies to thrive? Or why are we being kept from the resources that allow for us to grow our own food so that we can have more healthy bodies? Yes, so these are the questions and stuff that brings me to my conclusions right here, this entire conversation. Because if the body is the temple, then the body cannot be treated as the enemy. If the body is the temple, then the nervous system matters, the spine matters, the womb matters, your heart, breathing matters, your pace, your voice, your sensuality matters, the emotional self, the memory stored in the body, the trauma stored in the body matters, pleasure matters, wisdom stored in the body matters. This is why I keep saying we have to return to the body as a map, because the body has always been speaking. It always recording. It is a data center. It's constantly collecting information that we carry from one place to the next. And when that coiled intelligence begins to rise, it is not just giving you a spiritual experience, it's bringing you back to relationship within parts of yourself that were sealed off, hidden, shamed, and or forgotten. And the Kundalini, through the lens of primordial intelligence, it is not trying to be all in the mix of Hinduism, right? I'm not wrapped up or concerned about Christianity. And I'm definitely not here just to talk about things for the sake of sounding deep at all, right? I'm just sharing my understanding about these ancient systems and how they correspond with the self. How it all makes sense. It all makes a lot of sense. Over time, it all starts to make sense. The winding of the staircase makes much more sense now because it's just as synonymous as the winding of a serpent going up the spine, just as energies rise throughout the body, heat rise throughout the body, excitement rises, emotions arise, all of this all correlates, makes a lot of sense. It all makes a lot of sense. Now understand the symbolism of the stairs more than some architectural design. Is symbolic. It's just showing the way the energies move throughout consciousness, right? Movement through the body, like water, like the forming of a tornado and wind, hurricanes, all of that. This also reminds me of baptism. When I hear about the stages of elevation being earth, water, air, fire, I hear that as the complete system of a baptism. I think it's interesting that we are given these different patterns and colors and stuff like that because our mind operates from more of a cardinal position. And so we'll be needing, different things like this in order to grasp the understanding of what all of it is. I think it's rooted in our instinct to survive, material attachments, lower reactions of the self. We attach ourselves to believing that a baptism must be done physically. You must get up in order to feel pure again. You must get up, find a church, go to the church, and get baptized in water publicly with the witness of a lot of people surrounding you in order for you to feel good about yourself. That is the mindset of a cardinal person. Because the truth is, water already exists within inside of us. Water is truth, cleansing, emotional intelligence, in the stage where you submit yourself into something much deeper than your own understanding. Air is nirvana, right? Air is a place where we, sit quietly. You don't have to get up and go nowhere quiet to receive, to get in that position. Just sit quietly. If you decide to sit quietly, choose to sit quietly. Decide on what it is that you need to focus on in order to keep all the other, thoughts and stuff from running rampant in your mind. Just sit quietly. If you are the type of person that you feel like you have to be in constant movement, exercise, dance, and allow the fire of the Holy Spirit to rise within you. Yeah, the divine current, the force that transforms rather than just informs. The Holy Spirit. Can we all just agree that a baptism does not have to be done in a public setting or by the hands of another person? Can we just agree that it is something deeper than just placing someone's head underneath the water? I'm not saying water has no sacred meaning to it. Of course, I'm not saying that. Water is cleansing. Water is in the womb, it is of memory, it is ancestral, it is primordial. But the act itself is not complete if the mind remains unchanged. That's what I'm trying to say. If a person goes into the water with the same fear, same ego, same control issues, same judgments, and lower consciousness, then what has the baptism actually done differently? A true baptism is when the lower mind is submitted to truth, lifted into silence, purified by spirit, and brought into a new state of awareness. That is why teaching matters. This is not about mocking someone's tradition. This is asking whether we have been given the outer ritual but denied the inner technology, the full understanding. Because people can be dipped into water. They can shout, they can sprint across the entire church congregation. They can be dressed and prayed over, initiated, titled, named, whatever, given orikis, right? Doing ebos, all of this, and still not be transformed, still be the exact same person that they were before. Sinful Apple has joined. That's an interesting name as we're talking about all of this. But yeah, still be the same. The question is whether the consciousness has even risen. What did you gain? What did the body release? What has changed? In the Bible, they talk about how Paul was being caught into a third heaven. Whenever I hear that, I hear that as an example of an altered consciousness, deep spiritual revelation, and the kind of experience that just doesn't, it has to be explained. And in fact, there is no ordinary language to explain it. Paul said that he didn't even know whether he was in the body or out of the body. For me, that tells me that he had entered into a state beyond the ordinary thinking of the mind. He moved into a realm where the human mind could not fully interpret what was happening around him. And that is why he says he heard things happening. He heard these things that couldn't even be fully uttered, lawfully uttered. Sometimes the deepest spiritual experiences cannot be reduced into regular words. You can't just come back saying that, oh, you saw everything. It makes perfect sense. So when people go about getting baptized and then they just believe that they automatically have been renewed just by that, that is delusional. It's delusional, and they also want other people to see them as delusional. It also reminds me of individuals who go about getting initiated and then they come back and think that the whole world is revolving around them and that everything has changed. Absolutely not. That's why they tell us, they give us a whole year after that to sit in our rights, to be in our rights. You're supposed to continue the training, continuing understanding of it so that you can able to articulate everything that's happening around you. Individuals who believe that just because they go about into a new spiritual system that everybody is supposed to see them as some pure person, absolutely not. Matter of fact, over here in Sacred Water Healing Temple, I need you to understand that even your rage is sacred. Because I know for a fact that a year or more after getting initiated into IFA initiation, I dealt with some things that I had to work on in order for me to survive. So, this is not the space. Sacred Water Healing Temple is not the space, never will be the space to condemn people into believing or making people believe that their spiritual journey is some holier than thou, purified, moral free journey. Absolutely not. Like, people go through crazy things. You might have to turn up. And then individuals may be like, well, he's not too godly. She's not too priestless. You heard me say it. She's not too holy. Anyways, sometimes the deepest spiritual experience cannot be reduced into regular words. You can come back knowing something happened, feeling something shifted, sensing that something opened, but still not having the human language to experience it. And that is why I do not like when people quickly condemn what they do not understand. They call it demonic, occult, strange, dangerous, evil. But the same experiences are sitting inside of every scripture that they believe in, that they claim to believe in. If Paul can speak of being caught into paradise, if Revelation can speak of the seven seals, and if Kings can speak of winding stairs into the right side of the temple, then we have to stop pretending that the mystical experience is foreign. Mystical experience has always been there. It was just hidden under these different symbols, parables, numbers, architects, these directions, and body code. Art imitate life. When I'm reading in the Bible about the serpents, right? People would take it very literal. The serpent is important because the serpent isn't being described as a literal snake crawling inside of anybody's body. It is about fear. The serpent is not about telling people that they have something evil inside of them. The serpent represents energy, movement, life force, and it speaks about shedding and renewing and transforming of the human experience. The reason the serpent is used as a symbol is because the serpent sheds its own skin. It crawls out of what it used to be. It leaves the old coverings behind and continues forward in a renewed form. That is powerful. Because that is exactly what spiritual awakening requires. At some point you have to shed. You have to shed old beliefs. You have to shed the shame that you have, the fear of giving up, failing, survival, being placed into spaces where people are dependent upon you and possibly being let down or letting them down. Being renewed from old parts of yourself that no longer assist you. That is what rebirthing is all about. It's not just saying that you're born again. It's actually leaving behind what you can no longer hold in your life. When we talk about reincarnation and karmas and coming back through different experiences, I hear that as a teaching about the soul learning through contrast. So whether a person takes that as something literal or symbolically, right, the principle still remains. Life keeps bringing us into situations where we are forced to understand we must transform. Whatever parts of us that feel the need to judge, harm, be blinded, to avoid, all of this must be confronted. You do not know what lesson your soul may need in order to become whole. The person that you are judging today may carry the very experience that your spirit needs to understand tomorrow. So be careful with people who build their spirituality on condemnation, because the same person laughing at someone else's body, poverty, sensuality, race, disability, grief, or struggle may have to experience this themselves. Their loved ones may have to experience these things. And then they'll be asked of help. And if they don't have the resources, the support, or the ability to articulate what is going on to assist the people to get through that, then what good will they do? What good is the spiritual system? What good is the faith that they have? What good is the religion that they follow? Life has a way of humbling the ego. Karma has a way of teaching through embodiment, and the primordial intelligence reminds us that every human experience carries instructions if we are willing to listen. The Kundalini energy is of the feminine power, the feminine God within you. Yes, there is both male and female. There is masculine and femininity that dwells within you. How do we connect deep within it? Well, it's about strengthening your intuition, being very disciplined to do that. That is not a masculine thing to do. It is absolutely feminine. It prioritizes its need to build and sustain life, to nourish it, to give birth to it. This energy sleeps coiled until the person becomes ready to meet it, to access it. And then when it begins to steer, some people may feel it as a vibration, electricity, heat, tingling, emotions, or stillness. Whatever it is, the body is aware. So for each person, it may appear differently. But however it begins, it's important for us to take knowledge of it, because the body is a data center. The body is intelligent. The body is a memory, a spiritual archive of your deepest codes, binary systems, both ancestral and primordial. There's a difference between ancestral and primordial. Ancestral is, of course, your lineage, your blood, those within your family. Primordial is intuitive. Primordial is the feminine life force that rises through inner channeling. It is not only about this pleasure, right? It is about truth and remembering. It is about bringing parts of you that were once asleep back into awareness. The inner channel of the primordial intelligence is rich in pleasure and important as it challenges the way that we believe, the way that systems have been embedded into us, the way religion has trained people to fear pleasure. Pleasure is oftentimes demonized, especially in the body of women, because, well, we're the keepers of wealth. We're the keepers of true life force. And that's why we must govern ourselves properly, so that we are not being destructive and also being weaponized. We have to govern ourselves pretty well, because our portals are of life force, and we can birth some things that are good for us and some things that are not good for us. We have the ability. We have life and death in our tongues, in our minds, as well as within our sacred spaces. The root chakra. There is power of life and death that exists there. So, I would like to say I appreciate all those who tuned in, all those who contributed to this evening's discussion, live discussion, and I will continue to build on the primordial intelligence of self-governance and body mapping over the next few days this week. And if anybody is interested in learning more about it, please visit the link in the description. Go find the YouTube channel, like, comment, subscribe, share some insights. And if you'd like to join any of the classes and teachings that are available, link is in the description. If you want to book a reading, readings are available, as long as you make sure that you confirm the dates that you're interested, that you'll be available for readings. Be sure to visit my link in the description to join the Patreon and the WhatsApp virtual community. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon.